That's the one for the socials. That's the one for the other pastors to see. Then they invite me because they're like, oh yeah,
that one is so professional.
Yes.
And then you get there and they're like, so cool.
Prim and proper.
Okay. What up, guys?
Yeah.
Hey, you can incorporate a kick.
Your team
Yes,
would win
just like that.
because everybody would
be distracted. Like, what is happening there? Oh, it's just Hoyt. It's fine.
This is how I'd be keeping goal.
As he tries to be serious.
I'm not good at this.
No.
I just don't know where to look. Like,
that's what I'm gonna do.
This is what happens when you try to interview kids ministry.
I have tears in my eyes.
So welcome back to the Voice in the Wilderness podcast. This is episode 3. I'm glad you guys could rejoin us. And here I'm joined with my friends Gab and Tab. Also, they're kids pastors. And that's the thing that makes this podcast cool. We bring cool people on. I'm not sure why they're on though.
Rude.
So the first thing that I want to talk about is the joys of kids ministry. Tell me about the joys of kids ministry.
Number one, with kids in life, you never know what they're going to say. Mm-hmm. So if you ask a question, you just need to be prepared. So hearing their answers to questions on Sunday mornings, hey, who had a good week? Mine was terrible. Mine was great. Mom and Dad fought the whole way to church. So you never know what you're going to get. So that's fun. But also just watching them, because I come from a teaching background. So when you teach and a kid learns that CAT means cat, you see like a light bulb go off and they're like, hey, this means something. But whenever it has to do with faith and they realize, hey, that God that they've been talking about isn't some huge abstract thing like he wants to be my friend, and you see that light bulb go off, like nothing's better.
Yeah.
And then since we've been here, Jason and I have been here 6 years as of yesterday, watching them grow in their faith from the ones who we started with, like you, the ones now who are graduating, watching them grow in their faith and like it really becoming their personal faith, that's the best. And watching them lead.
So for me personally, like she said, it is really funny getting to see what they have to say. So I get to be with like the littles more than she does, and you never know what they are going to say. They pray for some really weird things. Anya prays for the bugs outside. So, but also just watching them grow, like she said, it's really, really cool to see a kid who walks in the door super duper shy, never wants to talk, never wants to do anything, and then moves into, okay, well now I'm going to start doing a little bit of worship, now I'm going to start doing a little bit of games, okay, well now I'm going to be all in and I'm going to go up there and I'm going to do every bit of this.
Yeah.
It's super exciting. It's super cool to see.
Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to have my own podcast.
Yeah.
I never, ever, ever would have thought when we started at the church and he ran media for us that Hoyt would, number one, talk to people, but preach and have a podcast and do all these things and be so like unashamed of his faith. Because if I got 2 words out of him, I was like, it's a great Sunday.
One of the kids went up and we did the thing where we rolled out the parchment paper and we wrote the things that we were thankful to God for.
Yeah.
And this kid, this is the first kid that I looked at, and he wrote on there, I'm thankful for guns.
Yes, we read that today. Your first one was Hayden.
Yes. Let's talk about the difficulties of kids ministry. So we have all the fun in the world, and it's an amazing thing. It's wonderful when we see the kids finally getting this stuff that we're trying to preach. And I mean, it's the same thing with youth. I mean, or adult. The second that they finally get it, and it's like you can see it click, and it's like, yes, finally you get it. A lot of times you can see it in their face or in their eyes. Sometimes it's like immediately in the way that they talk. The coolest thing is when it's not just like an understanding that switches, but you get to see that there's a real change that happens in them. Mm-hmm. That's the coolest thing to me. That's what I love to see.
Somebody at the camp led them in singing that You Are My Everything for like 3 or 4 minutes. And it's just like this chorus of 300 kids just singing "You Are My Everything" over and over and over again. And I was behind the team on the stage, and I just took the mic. I felt like I was supposed to hand it off before the lesson, and I took it and I just put it in Lane's hand. And the picture is him praying. It is like, in the room, Gabi and I made eye contact, and we're squalling because you could hear the switch in his prayer. It went from earlier in the week, like I'm really shy, and he's not shy, we all know that, but it went from this, like, I'm not real comfortable praying out loud, to he got the mic and started praying, and he was praying with like a boldness that we had not ever heard before. And like, if you walk in the office, it's like right here on my side, and that will always be one of those moments that are like frozen in our minds, because it was such a, like, something clicked and something changed in that moment. And
Blake and I were talking earlier how we were talking about worship, and he asked me, how do I define worship? We talked about adoration, we talked about praise, transcendental worship, and we started talking about some events coming up, but we talked about just having this time where whoever's singing, whoever's leading worship, would just lead a simple song, not on stage, in the middle of the room, no chairs, no lights, no screens, no cool stuff, a simple hymn. But the point is that it has nothing to do with them. The whole point is to get the whole congregation to sing together, because that's what I love more than anything. And when you just said that, that's why it reminded me of it. You said 300 students all singing together in one chorus. That is amazing to me. That's what I want to see. And on Wednesday nights, I try to get everybody hyped up in the front. We try to jump around, dance, and all this. Maybe not in terms of singing, but I try to also lead worship from back there, because on stage, when you're down there looking up, it's kind of like a performance. So whatever we're doing up here, and it's the same thing with preaching, whatever we're doing up here is just, we're going to listen along, maybe sing along, maybe jump, maybe dance, but it's still just a performance. But when the people in the crowd start to lead the worship, rather than the people who are on stage leading worship, it becomes a different thing. Back to kids ministry. What are some difficulties that y'all have had in the past?
I took the joys first. You take the difficulties first.
So when I first walked into kids ministry, I didn't really know that you were going to take on all of their burden. You take on every single thing that they have at home, whether it's, hey, mom and dad are fighting really bad, hey, mom and dad are splitting, whether it's, hey, dad is beating mom, dad's an alcoholic. Like, you take on so much more than you would ever imagine.
To see them hurt, it's like, you want to fix it, and we can't fix it, but we know who can help them through it. So it's that reminding them, like, hey, I've got your back. I'm praying for you. You are not alone, but it's not just me.
Why do you feel that God has called you into kids ministry? What is your why for doing kids ministry?
Okay, so my why for doing kids ministry is to lead one more kid and their entire family into discipleship with God. That it's not a Sunday and Wednesday thing we check off the list, but that is a real, true relationship with a God who sees them and loves them.
My why for kids ministry is that the kid in the room that feels like they're invisible will know that they're not invisible. That every single Sunday when I wake up, I pray, Lord, show me that one kid that needs to be seen today, so that I can make them feel loved and known, so that they will know that you see them just as much as I see them. Because I was that kid. I always felt like I was invisible, and that nobody else around me knew what was going around or what was going on in my life. And I did some very, very bad things because I was that kid. So I just want to make sure that every single kid knows that God knows them, loves them, and has a plan and purpose for their life.
If somebody came to you, as people have and do, and they want to get more involved in kids ministry, or they feel that they are called to kids ministry, or that they have a why that is in alignment with kids ministry, but they don't really know exactly what their calling is, maybe not sure, how do you help somebody through that? Or what advice would you give to somebody watching it?
If somebody came to me and they said, hey, I'm called into kids ministry, hey, let's talk about it. Let's see, why do you feel that? Like, did you were you in a service and you got goosebumps and then you turned around and you saw a kid and you're like, it's kids ministry? Or like, have you like spent time praying? And I'm not saying that like God couldn't speak to you that way. Maybe he did, but also maybe you are just looking. Like whenever I got called into kids ministry, we helped Summer because she desperately needed adult help and somebody couldn't be there that week. And I was like, Summer, I don't like kids. And she was like, just come one Sunday. And I said, don't like kids. We got married saying we weren't going to have kids. Don't really want to be around kids. And she was like, just come one time. And then seeing how the kids engaged and how this isn't babysitting. I was like, okay, we'll come back next week. And then 3.5 years later, I was like, this is like Jason and I had not been to big church at the church we went to on a Sunday morning because we were like, we're here. Every Sunday, we're going to do whatever you need us to do because this is where we could feel God calling our heart. So like, I want to have those conversations with somebody to be like, okay, so what makes you feel like you're called into kids ministry? Maybe you are, let's walk that out. And if somebody says, hey, I am called into kids ministry, but I want to start as a volunteer, I always say, okay, let's try each one. Do you want to try the nursery? Do you want to try toddlers? Do you want to try preschool with us? And then if you go in the nursery and you say, oh, that is not for me. Okay, that's totally fine. Let's try the next one. Because when people volunteer, we don't want them to think it's like a death sentence.
Yeah.
Like I said, I would help in the nursery, but I absolutely hate it. And now I'm locked into it forever. We want to help people find where they fit. I think that's part of ministry is helping people find that spot that God has for them. But there's also a book that I've given to you and I've given to several other people, and I always get the name wrong, but it's Strong Enough to Last. And it's by David Boyd, and it just talks about the foundations of kids ministry. And I feel like if kids ministry is your calling and you read that book, if that doesn't give you like a fire of how can we put those things in place? How can we make sure a kid is biblically founded so that whenever they are hit with something from the world, that their foundation doesn't shake? Like that book to me, when I read it, is a reminder, like, this is really what you're supposed to be doing. Like, so that's something I always give people. And then we just try to walk it out with them. Like, hey, you feel like you're called into ministry? Come alongside us. Whenever we go to a camp, come to camp with us. Because listen, if you're not called into kids ministry and you're at summer camp with kids,
You're going to find out right there.
Yep.
It ain't for you.
Yep. Sometimes you got to know, like, put your feet in the fire and then go, ooh, okay. Nope. The teenagers that travel with us who say they're called into kids ministry. Okay, you're called into kids ministry. Here's a stage. Try it. There's a whole audience of kids. Go find a kid, learn their name. And it's those like practical things. Like, hey, let's walk it out. Let's not let it be some calling that's way out there.
Yeah.
Let's pull it in and let's walk it out.
Yeah, that's real.
That was
right
a long
there.
answer.
No, like if there's a lot of people that I know that say that they're called into ministry, the first thing that I always say is like, okay, what steps are you taking? Like, how are you getting there? They're like, well, I don't know. It's like, okay, if you see the destination, if I'm trying to get to McDonald's, right, because I'm hungry, I'm not gonna get those chicken nuggets until I get in my car, I crank it, put it in gear, press the gas pedal, and then steer it in the right direction.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then stop at the red lights. Sometimes.
Please do.
You're never going to get to the destination until you begin.
Yeah.
The journey, what is it? The journey of 1,000 steps begins with
the
one.
first step.
Yeah. Or 1,000 miles begins with the first step. Something like that. Whatever the quote is.
And I also think we have to be careful in kids and youth ministry not to, like, if a kid comes to you and says, hey, I'm called into youth ministry, I'm called to be a missionary, I'm called to kids ministry, to be a pastor, whatever. We have to be careful not to be like, oh yeah, you are in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, their journey starts right then.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why we do the called class on Sunday, so that we can dive into God's word, so that we can talk about those things. Because you're not called when you're 25. You're called right. He called you right now for a reason. Josiah was 8.
Yeah.
And he was a king. So.
Yep. Same thing with Jeremiah.
Yeah.
Called as a prophet at 8 years old.
And
right.
when you go back at.
There was something flying in the air. I'm sorry.
I thought you were signaling me.
No, there's something flying.
No, you're wrong.
You're wrong about that one, bud.
We have to equip them where they are, because they're still going to school, going to co-op, playing sports, doing all these things. They're still around people, and they can still share God's word where they go.
Well, and if we don't equip them, then the world's going to equip them for what the world wants to equip them for.
Yeah.
So if we don't go ahead and start planting the seeds and continue to go ahead and start plowing the ground, as Pastor Vince says, then the world's going to do it for us.
Yep.
So you could say at 6 years old, hey, I'm called to be a missionary, but then at 15, the world gets into your head and that missionary thought goes completely out of your mind. Mm-hmm. You no longer believe in God. You no longer believe in everything that you believed in from 6 to 14.
That's something that Jake said on one of his episodes of his podcast. Shout out Jake Secor, by the way. He said, if you don't preach, the devil will. Or
that's good.
Maybe I'm misquoting it. Maybe it was, if you don't preach, the world will. And then on our podcast, when we just recorded episode 2, he said, the world is full of people who are preaching Jesus, but it's not the Jesus of the Bible. It's what people want him to be.
The nice, love wins.
Yeah.
It's all the love, whatever is right for you.
The he gets us. Jesus.
Yes. But you know, Pastor Jason says all the time, not my Jason, Pastor Jason Allen says all the time, the world is going to indoctrinate kids.
Oh, yeah.
So it's the church's job to indoctrinate them with God's word.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
They're either going to be one for evil or they're going to be one for good. So we're both sides are striving to get to the children. And that's why I wanted to have this podcast. If we want to reach the world, I don't expect the entire world to be reached in this generation. But I don't think it's an unrealistic expectation that between this generation and the next generation, if the church locked in and did what it was supposed to do from the beginning and made disciples of all nations, then I believe that the entire world, the 42% of people who have not heard the gospel of Jesus Christ could be reached and can hear the gospel for the very first time. They can accept Jesus. By my estimate, 70, 75, 80% of people who claim to be Christians and are not can also be reached with the truth of the gospel. People who identify as Christians when their works are the exact opposite and their fruits show the opposite. I believe that all of these people can be reached, and it starts with the children.
Yeah.
It's like you said, that your why is to reach the kid and the family of the kid to bring disciples, not decisions, but disciples, but you're reaching the family through the kid. Mm-hmm. Now, statistically, I believe it's the most likely way to reach a family is through the father and through the husband. But I've seen several instances as well where kids getting in church, kids getting discipled, kids falling radically in love with Jesus, end up bringing their parents in. Your husband.
Jason, yeah.
Yeah.
We've seen that a few times where on Wednesday nights they're coming just to have fun with their friends from school and to get away from home just for that one Wednesday night turn into the next Wednesday night to the next Wednesday night to a Sunday morning. And they're drop-off kids, but then after a few months of being drop-offs, their family is starting to come with them. We've seen that time after time after time again.
Yeah.
Because as a parent, you can't deny that change in your kid. If you see that change in your kid and it's a positive change and you see them falling in love with Jesus, that's going to spark curiosity in you. Mm-hmm. Like the Bible talks about that with wives and husbands. If the husband isn't following God, let the wife's actions show him and he'll be won over that way. Mm-hmm. It's the same way with kids. They don't have to preach at their parents all the time. Their actions are a testimony.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree completely. That's something that I read in, I think it was the book Undercover by John Bevere. Go check out John Bevere. Great guy. Love that guy. He said that he was talking to this one woman who she was trying to win over her husband, and she would try all this stuff. She would put like scriptures on his table, Christian magazines down everywhere. I mean, she was doing everything that she could. When she finally came to John Bevere and she was saying, I don't know what else to do. I've tried everything. When she finally said that, he just said to her, get submitted. Submit to your husband and let your fruit show what Christ is doing in you. When your fruit shows your fruit will reveal the truth of the gospel and how you actually believe it. And if you believe something wholeheartedly enough, whether you say it or you show it, people get convinced too. Caden would believe anything that I said. Yep. If I told him,
don't tell him something that's going to get him hurt and send me to children's.
I could tell him that the wall was made of macaroni. And he would be like, for real? When you say something with conviction or you do something in such a way that it shows that you absolutely believe it. Even if that thing weren't true, people would start to believe it. Well, how much more if it is true? How much more if it's the truth of the gospel and the power of God alive in us? I think that can absolutely show someone without you even having to speak to them, say anything to them. And on the other side of that, if you try to preach and then you don't have fruit to back it up, you've lost all credibility, and people will fall away from the faith because they were reliant on your words, but there's nothing under them.
Yeah, that's how church hurt becomes a thing.
If people are reliant on your belief and then your fruits begin to show that you don't believe, then they're going to fall away because that's what they were relying on.
Well, I remember going to youth camp whenever Jason and I were teenagers, and one of the speakers, his name was Jeremy DeWert, every time he spoke, he would use this quote, preach always and seldom use words.
Intermission, halftime. Oh, let's right at 4.
Are you going to sing? If it's halftime, there's supposed to be a show.
Is that good?
That's beautiful.
Dying cow.
This is the end of the show.
Sounds
right
like a dying cow.
Yeah. So that sounded like a dying cow.
Sounds nothing like a dying cow. You ever heard a dying? Yeah, exactly.
I guarantee he knows what a dying cow sounds like.
That's what a dying cow sounds like.
It's on video. The face that went with it too. More than your words, they're paying attention to what you do.
They're going to do what you do, and they're also going to say what you say. So they're going to become exactly like you. So if you are saying God is important while doing the opposite, then they're going to learn the language of God is important, and that language is going to become meaningless. So when they hear it later from someone else preaching, when they hear the name God at all, they're going to equate God is important. They're gonna know that phrase, but the only action that they know behind it is going to be sports and whatever else, whatever is actually important to them. So when they say God is important, and when they put that on their Instagram bio, and they have that everywhere, God first.
Philippians 4:13.
Yep. They're going to associate all these words with what's the action behind it, not the meaning of the words.
You could throw sports out of that. You could make it vacations. You could make it the lake.
Yeah.
You could make it, we're all really, really tired.
Yeah.
And there's 52 Sundays, but we're tired 25 of them.
Yeah.
So listen, on Sunday mornings, we are tired as well. You'll catch us with an energy drink every Sunday morning.
Yes.
But you could take the word sports and replace it with anything.
Yeah.
TV, games, social media. You can replace it with anything.
Oh, yeah.
Kids see your priorities. If I'm at church on Sunday morning and I'm talking about how we need to spend time with God, but my kids never see me open my Bible except at church, they see that. They hear what I say and they see what I do.
Yeah.
Well, there's also the George Barna statistic where it's a kid has already decided whether they're going to follow God or follow the world by the age 13. They know what they're gonna do,
and their worldview is set by the time they're 9. So how they see the world, whether it is a worldly worldview or a Christian worldview, is set by the time they're 9. So if we're talking about our family, we have 1 year with Caden to help him make sure he has a biblical worldview.
Yeah.
and I have 6, not even 6, 5, to make sure that Anya has a biblical worldview. You don't have long. You need to have them in church as much as you can.
And follow up with it at home.
Yes.
Yes.
Let them see you read your Bible.
Our 2 hours a week, y'all, I can't math. The 2 hours we have them a week, if they come Sunday and Wednesday, doesn't make up for the rest of the time.
No.
You don't expect their teacher to teach them to read in 2 hours a week.
Parable that Jesus told. This is one of my favorite parables from him, aside from the 2 sons. I used it when I went to Aniana at Anchor's Church in Echo Youth. Shout out Echo Youth, and shout out Nicholas Russell.
Why don't you just restart?
Russell.
The parable of the great banquet. So a master holds a banquet, holds a big feast, got a big party going, and he sends out his servant to invite all the people who he had already planned to bring in. And the servant goes out, tells everybody. To one he goes and he says, "The banquet's ready. Come on, you ready to go? Let's go." And the dude says, "Well, I'm actually getting married on that day. My wedding's that day. I'm not going to be able to go. Now, this was my paraphrase of it to put it in modern terms.
The Hoyt International version.
Yeah, Hoyt International. To another one, he came and he said the same thing. The banquet's ready. And the dude says, man, I actually just totaled my car. I have no way to get there. To another one, says the same thing. And they all just give these different excuses. And what you notice about all the excuses is that they're perfectly good excuses. They're fully understandable. I get it. I get why you're not able to come to the banquet. But now the banquet isn't church. The banquet is Jesus. The banquet is salvation. The banquet is heaven. There's so many people who will watch this podcast, and then you're going to come up with excuses as to why you can't go to Jesus, as to why you can't pray, you can't read your Bible, you can't receive salvation. There will always be excuses. You will never have time. You never will. You're never going to have time to do the stuff that you don't want to do, because stuff will eat your time, because time gets eaten, and you can never get that time back. But despite every excuse, and however good those excuses may be, you say sports isn't a good excuse, okay? Work. Light flash. Since I said that, maybe work is your excuse. Maybe family is your excuse. Maybe school is your excuse. Maybe you're too tired. Whatever your excuse may be, none of those excuses will actually excuse you. When you appear before God in the last day, and it's just you and Him, none of those excuses as to why you couldn't come will ever be enough to say, I get it, man. Come on in. Well done, my slacking servant, but you still get to go in. None of those excuses will do that for you. The only thing that will get you in is Jesus. So do not come up with any excuses. So the end of the parable that Jesus tells, He just starts bringing in people randomly. He sends the servant and He says, just get people from the highways and hedges, man. Get the people who are sick. Get the people get the lepers, get the outcasts, get the sinners, get the tax collectors. Get all the people that everybody hates, all of the outcasts that nobody wants to be around, and bring them to my banquet, because at least they will be appreciative of what I'm giving them. But the people who would claim to be His friends, the people who would claim to love Him, that claim to love God, they call themselves Christians, they're going to come up with every excuse in the book to not come.
But that verse reminds me of when we went to Maine last summer, and it said, it says, go out into the highways and the hedges, or highways and byways, depending on the version. I remember your mom climbing into a hedge to pray for somebody. They came back, and everybody had their different stories from our street ministry, but they had a picture of Brandy literally in the middle of a bush praying with a lady who was an alcoholic, and she came back with like a vodka bottle that Brandy had poured out, and they had prayed. I don't know if she still has the empty vodka bottle. I don't know. But like, she had written the lady's name on it. They were like, we didn't know what was happening. And Brandy was like, I saw a person and I knew I had to go. Like, what if we all had that fire of, I see a person, I need to go. I don't care. Instead of making excuses, I see a person that I need to go talk to. Like, we had a conversation on last Sunday. And in your podcast with Jason, you said obedience isn't optional. And I wrote it down, because when we do stand before God, I don't want that to have to say, I know you told me to go talk to that person, but it made me uncomfortable, so I didn't. I know I was supposed to lead my children, but it made me uncomfortable, and it was inconvenient sometimes. I don't want to say that. Or whenever you see Heaven's Gates and Hell's Flames, whenever it was the scene with David and Hudson. David was the dad, and he said, Hudson was like, Dad, you told me I had time, as they're getting pulled away.
Into hell.
Yes. Like, that's the responsibility that we're looking at.
When you just brought back up obedience isn't optional, I was already thinking about something that you said earlier. As long as we have the option to do this or that, we're going to pick what we want. So as long as you think of whatever is good as optional, you're going to hit the snooze button. As long as it can be delayed, as long as you think of it as something that can wait, you will wait. So the way that you have to think about repentance, the way that you have to think about following Jesus, getting saved, getting baptized, doing the things that you were commanded to do, obeying the Great Commission, going on that mission trip, going and telling that friend about Jesus, all of those things, reading your Bible, praying, going to church, all of that, as long as you think of it as it can wait. I'll do that tomorrow. As Apollo Creed said to Rocky, man, there ain't no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. That's what you gotta think. You gotta think that this moment is the last moment and that nothing can be put off for tomorrow. As Abraham Lincoln said, we should not put off to tomorrow what we can do today.
Well, it's funny you say that, because whenever we were in a service and I told her, I was like, God's telling me to do something, I'm fighting. And she said, I am too. I was like, well, I don't want to do it. Because she's my person I talk to. Like, if God tells me to do something I want to do, I'm like, Gabi, I'm fighting again. I don't know how you feel, but like, if God tells me to do something and I don't, I start feeling like I'm going to be sick. And like, I will physically feel like I'm going to be sick if I don't go say what I'm supposed to say or do what I'm supposed to do. She put her hand on my back and is pushing me. And the whole time, like, there's like a war going on in my mind of, go do it. You know what you're supposed to do, just go do it. And on this side, it was like, no, just wait. Just wait. Just wait. In the past 3 weeks, we've had people who are connected to all three of us be in wrecks that could have been fatal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, we aren't promised tomorrow. So, like, the whole time I'm walking to say what I felt like I was supposed to say, like, my brain kept going, just wait. Just wait. You'll see him again. You'll see him. What if we don't?
Yeah.
Like, what if we have to stand before God? He told us to talk to somebody. He told us to pray for somebody. He told us to do something. And we said, oh, we would do it tomorrow. But what if they don't have tomorrow?
That's right. That reminds me, when I was heading to the house to get lunch, an 18-wheeler was coming and veered off into my lane. Nothing happened. It got back into its lane. But it was a couple feet away from me being Chloe or Charlie. Those things, you never think that that's going to happen to me. You never think that that's going to happen to somebody close to you. You never think that that's going to happen today. And you always think that you have tomorrow. You always thinking way into the future. Might not have it.
About 3 years ago at camp, it would have been 3 years ago, and I felt like God gave me one sentence to say to somebody, and he said, text this person this sentence. And I went, not doing that. Like, I'm laying in the bunk bed, same bunk bed I get every time. I'm literally laying there trying to go to sleep, and I felt God say, text this person and say, don't let anything temporary keep you from something permanent, from something eternal. Don't let anything temporary keep you from something eternal. I am not texting that. I was like, I'm going to pray for that person. That was my answer. I'm going to pray. So I did. But like all night, I kept feeling, send that text, send that text, send that text. So my bargaining self, I was like, okay, so I'm not going to send that text. But what I will do is when the whole group comes together and we do our little breakdown of what your takeaway is from camp, I'm going to say the sentence and then I'm going to make eye contact with the person. And then I'm going to keep going. And that was my compromise with God. But 3 years later, that still comes back to me. Like, just do it.
Yeah.
Should have just sent it. Should have just said it. And those are the obedience isn't optional moments that I'm like, okay, I want to be willing and bold enough to be all in, like we're talking about this year, but to pray and know that's what I'm supposed to do, and then just do it. Not have to have a physical hand on my back shoving me, or a physical person going, do you send that text yet?
Do you have anything else we want to talk about?
He can talk about how we're his favorite staff members. We're his favorite staff members in the room.
The camera's dead, so.
How long has it been dead?
I don't know.
Oh.
Wait.